Hello, everyone. So we are going live again. Make sure I've got everything on mute so that nothing goes crazy. Hopefully, there's no technical difficulties tonight. I see that there's some people joining, which is awesome. How many of you guys had notifications turned on so that you would be able to know when it started? See if I can get my friend on. Looks like he requested. Get my volume turned up so I can hear him. Hello.
Hello.
There you go.
I look really great in this light, so this is just going to stay this way. So
That's nice because mine's not the greatest lighting. I've tried, I've got my computer on and I've got like a white screen on there so that it gives me a little bit more lighting than facing a wall.
Yeah. I wanted my dog to come with me, but he seems a little too standoffish right now. My dog is just chilling right over here.
Not about that Instagram live life.
Nah, I try to make him my I don't know. Milo, do you want to come join me? Come on, puppy. Come on. I think he just wants food too. Yeah. Anyway, hi.
Puppies definitely get the ratings up.
I know everyone likes puppies. Here, let me get him. Oh, okay. I thought he's a good positivity in life and everything.
Exactly. I feel like everyone's got to find positivity with animals.
Honestly, a part of this quarantine, I was wanting to make a dog in his own Instagram page, but it's too much. It's honestly too much work.
Yeah.
To come up with that kind of stuff.
And then he'd have to find all the people to follow, like all the pet places and.
I know, right? Isn't that right, puppy? Okay. Anyway, all right. He wants to leave.
So it sounds like you've already introduced one topic of something that keeps you positive during 2020.
Oh, I mean, 100%. Animals are always a plus, I would say, in my book. But
I know that a lot of people have been buying pets during this pandemic, and I hope that they know what a responsibility pets can be. And when things start to turn back to normal, they don't just get to throw them away.
Yeah, I think that's been the case with when a lot of people decide to buy dogs. I think they like the fact that it's their need for a child, and then they realize the dog gets bigger. I mean, Milo doesn't get bigger. Milo's 7, but he will stay. But I think there was a whole culture, especially with Game of Thrones, when everyone was buying Siberian Huskies, and then they realized that these dogs are high maintenance dogs, and they could not handle that kind of responsibility. So it was just this. But I think in this quarantine, I feel now is the perfect time, because if you're working from home, I mean, you can train this dog, and and then whenever you do return back to work, you can. So he will know how to behave.
We hope.
Yeah. But what else is, I mean, what else I think, what else are we supposed to talk about in these positivity talks?
I would love for you to introduce yourself so that the people watching know who you are, since
right.
Most people watching right now know who I am.
That's very true.
Introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Jake. I am a singer-songwriter. And what else am I doing? But I'm also a web developer. I just became a web developer, during quarantine. And so I am from New York City, which I am currently in at the moment. But I was saying, my dad just tuned in. And yeah, I think I was in New Jersey, where I'm originally from. And, I'm now back in the city trying to enjoy the fact that the quarantine restrictions are a little loose, but it's weird to say, because New York is such a vibrant and active city, and I think people are missing that. And I think the moment that people are crowding up and everything again, I feel it's just I like how my dad just said fact checking. Thanks, Dad. Great.
right. Like the debate.
So excited. And I think it's, yeah, I mean, obviously, like, my time in COVID has been hard because obviously live music is not available at the moment in the city, and that's like kind of I feel like why I love New York so much. And there's a lot of indie music venues in danger at the moment because they're not obviously making enough money to pay off rent because no one's going to their bars. But I feel like there are many. Yes, was that a good about me section?
Yeah, definitely.
Great.
I would say
Before I go off topic,
the city is definitely an interesting place compared to like where I am. I've got a lot of friends. A lot of the people I've done lives with are from the city. So just kind of talking about the differences, like for me, I think the biggest difference is just how people treat each other in the grocery store. That's about the biggest change. And the hiking trails are like packed now because all the city people from like DC and Richmond are like finding the mountains all of a sudden. So it's definitely impacted a lot of things. So like with the music, you're saying that one of the things that you love the most about like the city is just like being able to go out and the live music and stuff like that. What are some ways that like music is like adapting to this new virtual world we're living in?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it used to be like all in like Lower East Side, you can go see a bunch of artists for $10 and like they're good. Like there's, you know, I think I loved, you know, obviously being a musician is competition, but you know, I think a whole point of New York City is that like artists support artists. Like I would, you know, there's so many connections I've made since I've been in the city. And yeah, I think it's, you know, I think the live streams are like sort of helping, I think, but you know, it's not enough. Like, you know, it's not enough unless somebody goes and buys like a $10 ticket. But, you know, I think but there's also like a lot of cool things that have happened. Like, I mean, for me specifically, I think there's like a lot of things that I've been able to do since like I have been in quarantine. Like, I think I connected with a bunch of like my idols who I like wanted, you know, and I was like taking lessons from them and taking like having songwriting sessions with them. I connected with, I think we met like virtually in quarantine. You know, I got to connect with a bunch of people I probably wouldn't have had a chance to connect to. What else? You know, I was able to give fitness more of a shot. You know, I feel like I'm in like the best physical shape of my life too. I think there's a lot of things you can do for your wellness. You know, and I implore you to do that, whether it is fitness or going outside or going for a walk. You know, obviously New York has a beautiful selection of parks to choose from. And then,
yeah, I mean, I think that one thing that a lot of people don't realize is it's really about like what you focus on. Because of course there's a lot of things that we used to be able to do that we loved that we aren't able to do right now. But wasting our time and energy on thinking about all those things and talking about all those things that we can't do right now is really wasted energy. There's a lot of people out there that have really used this time, and I know that you've been working on music during this time.
Yeah. You know, honestly, like I was supposed to release a record at this time. A full record was supposed to come out around this time. And then COVID happened. I was actually in Chicago. I remember that day. I played a So Far show that night. And then I like left to go back to my friend's place where I was staying, and everything, like the NBA was getting canceled. Everything was shutting down. And I remember specifically, I was like, oh my God, am I going to make it on a plane back home? And I did. And then like, I think I had one night left in the city, and then my mom texted me, and she was right there with me. She was like, you know, the city's going to shut down. You might as well come to New Jersey. So we did. Yeah, I mean, I wasn't even planning on releasing a single that I'm releasing in like 2 weeks, but you know, I felt like I had to do something. I don't even care. Like, honestly, I release music for the sheer moment of just like sharing a message. I don't release music to try to get the likes. I don't try to. Yes, brood out. Music helps us to connect with the present. I agree with that. I think music also helps I think music just helps connecting in general. It's a language that doesn't really necessarily need any kind of intellect, or it has a intellect or any knowledge. It's just a language that connects human beings with each other.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
so like
also I think that one thing that I heard from another musician that I thought was really cool is you can put out a song with an original intent of a message, and when other people hear it, it can mean a completely different thing. So like music can mean so many different things to different people. It just depends on the life that they're currently living and their perspectives. And when they hear a song, it might mean something completely different than what the artist originally meant it to mean.
yeah. I mean, I'm releasing, and I think I do that. It's actually interesting you say that because, like, the song I'm actually releasing in a little bit over 2 weeks now. And I kind of, whenever I present it at a live show, I kind of say, like, whatever this means to you, like, I hope, this is for whatever you need kind of a thing. It's not, I write music for the sheer purpose of the fact that, like, I don't really care. Like, I don't care if, and this is actually a conversation we've had a lot, I think the two of us, where like, I obviously want to get to like the 10K followers. I want to have my name be known, but it doesn't really mean anything if like no one is actually connecting with your music or connecting with whatever the message is. And so I feel like that's like how I've been releasing my music. And I think also quarantine was like a chance for me to try to build on my Instagram. And then I got like too obsessed with it. Yeah. I got like too obsessed with my numbers, and I was trying to like understand, like, I almost like I had to take a step back, and I was about to post like a really like thoughty pic of myself. And I was just like, wait, whoa, like I'm here for music. Like, I'm not here to like, find my significant other. I'm not trying to like make an OnlyFans page here. But I think, yeah, I mean, so now I'm trying to like return myself back to like the original purpose of why I'm like deciding to do this at all in the first place. Isn't that right, Milo?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to like my YouTube and stuff, I definitely hit a point where I was kind of plateauing. Mm-hmm. And then I started to see instant growth where it was just like every day I was seeing like at least 100 new subscribers on my channel. And then I started to see it start to plateau again. And I definitely started looking at other LGBT channels. And a lot of times it was talking about topics that I didn't really want to talk about on my channel. It was very awkward for me to talk about on my channel. Mm-hmm. And I actually released a video earlier this year just saying, hey, I'm so far away from the original message that I was trying to put out because I fell into that, oh my gosh, I don't want to stop growing. I don't want to start losing followers. And I feel like people actually respected me more when I was just like, hey, this is not me. I'm uncomfortable with this. Like, I know that sex sells. I know that people want that type of stuff. But mm-hmm. honestly, I feel like when it comes to that type of stuff on your platform, if it's not you, people can tell. And I think people are searching for authenticity online. And we've had this conversation before where the right crowd is going to find you. There are billions of people in the world, and mm-hmm. they're going to be looking for someone that is exactly what you are. And if you modify yourself or start to sexualize yourself in a way that you're not like happy with yourself, people aren't going to be inspired by that. I think people are more inspired by the people who stay themselves no matter what. And eventually you do gain that success by creating an audience that loves you for exactly what you are. And it's a lot easier for you to put out content that is exactly the way you are because it's you. You can mm-hmm. spew yourself out endlessly, but if you're trying to be something that you're not, it runs dry pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a whole, I mean, obviously, I think there's a whole, in our generation, there's a whole stigma about it. And it was so funny. I actually watched The Social Dilemma on Netflix, and that really, like, that really messed me up. I was just like, whoa. This is, like, just the sheer fact that, like, this, I feel like there's a part of, as great as social media is, where it connects everybody, but it definitely makes you have to look at yourself, and it's a whole comparison game. Like, I was comparing myself to friends of mine who were like just like naturally like just like getting they were just naturally like getting attention because of the way they looked and because of the things that they were posting. And it was like, and like the things they were posting was just like one of like sitting on a chair and be like, hey, like kind of, you know, just like sitting like that, or, you know, showing off their guns or whatever. You know, little sex appeal here and there is whatever. But, you know, I think there's a whole, I think for me, like, it took me a second. It took me like a moment when I was about to, as I said before, like when I was about to post this like really like stupid pic of myself that really like wasn't yeah, it was summer and everything, but I was just like, this is crazy. Like, why am I doing this right now? I literally like stopped myself, and I think I had to take like a couple breaths off of it, and then I had to like slowly return to the fact that music was the reason why I started being on Instagram, and music was the reason why I started like building my Instagram. And yeah, I'm sort of at almost 3,000, but like, yeah, great. You know, am I still writing? Cool. Like, I just bought 3 poetry books today, and I'm really excited because I don't know what music will come out of my enlightenment of literature and scholarly works. So yes, Alex, don't let media colleagues or other people push you into someone you're not. That is very true. Yes, I agree with that. I think if you had told me that like 2 months ago, I probably would have been like, yeah, sure, I know, yeah. And I probably would have still been trying to post the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, it takes a lot of work. It's like, you know, you have to plant the seeds and, you know, give it some water. Give it some sunlight. That's what my old music teacher used to tell me. Sorry, I keep shifting. I'm a shifter. I don't like to sit still.
I've got a spinny chair, and I put it in a corner so it would stop spinning, because I've noticed that I do that when I'm training my seminars.
Really?
But I was actually at a YouTube event, VidCon in California. I believe it was 2019, so last year. It was the 10-year anniversary of VidCon. And the guy who put VidCon together actually was talking about how there are content creators out there like Logan Paul and other people who kind of do a little bit too crazy of things to get attention. And
honestly, yes, I'm sorry, Logan Paul's such a loser. I think the moment that I saw watched the video of him going into the suicide forest and like laughing at a dead body, that's when I was especially done with him. I think it's just like that. It was just some of the things he does, I think, are just very insensitive to a lot of issues that I think a lot of especially young people deal with on a, you know, or come across in their lives. And I think there is just no room for that currently in this moment.
I mean, when it comes to stuff like that,
the trolls can attack me for that. I don't care.
Yeah, so. I don't feel like people like in that situation are actually thinking about those types of things, which I don't think is great. But like the guy who created VidCon, I wish I could remember his name. I can look that up and put it in the comments later. But he talked about how, yes, you might see content creators out there like your friends that post the picture sitting in the chair saying, hey, or Logan Paul creating those crazy videos in the suicide forest and pretending to be gay for a day, which is offending to a lot of people. But he said what you really need to focus on is the content you create should provide value to the world. And he was like, there are a lot of content creators out there putting value out there that aren't getting the views that they deserve. But at the end of the day, I do believe that when you continue to stay strong, because there was a time when I was posting stuff and I was just like, I'm doing it wrong. I feel like I'm putting out a good message. I feel like what I'm doing is what the world needs. I feel like there needs to be more positivity. There needs to be more kindness and compliments. And I was just like, there was a lot of doubt in my head. And I was like, maybe I'm doing this wrong. Maybe this isn't what I need to be doing. And I was like, do I need to post more sexualized pictures so that I can get the attention to then spread the positive message that I was wanting to do.
Mm-hmm.
And then honestly, like out of nowhere, it just started flowing, and I started to gain a lot of, I guess, success on my platforms. And I am starting to gather a following of people that are looking for exactly what I was dishing out before. I didn't
Yeah.
change my message. I just decided that I just have to keep pushing through it. And honestly, sometimes you have to take a step back from social media when your message starts to get a little bit blurred from what you originally planned. Because I think that if your original like plan has always been to add value, then there's nothing wrong with your message. It's just the right people haven't found you yet, and it hasn't been shared because social media is run by algorithms. And
Yeah, I think, and it's a complete algorithm that only, it doesn't like, and it doesn't, it's like, it works against you, like, somewhat. Like, I don't want to say like they obviously intended for it, but it's just like, if you're not in that top percent, then you're not going to you're not going to find that exposure. Exposure was a term I got like all the time when I was in music school. Like, whenever like there was like a job or something, it was like, yeah, no pay, but you'll get exposure. And I'm like, okay, you can't buy food with exposure. People don't pay bills with exposure. They pay bills with cash. If only we were a country run on exposure. But unfortunately, that is not the case. Love this sweatshirt. I think Jason is talking about your sweatshirt. Yeah.
blue, yeah.
Yeah, you got a lot of nice Joe Biden swag. I gotta find like, oh, I just got a text from someone saying who's watching the video saying that they enjoy it. But I think there is, I don't know. I don't think there's never a time where you shouldn't stop creating. I mean, yes, you can, like, I meant in the sense of like, if you want to take a break, by all means, this is more than ever a time to take a break. Like, we're approaching an election that's going to decide the fate of this country. Like, you can take as long of a break as you want. You can eat as much fucking cake as you want. I am a big supporter of that. If that is what you wish, I will endorse you for it. Could you just imagine like a bunch of cake emojis just pop up from the screenshot? But like, I think, but when you do return to it, I don't think that there's ever art or content that isn't valuable. I think there is content that's insensitive and unnecessary, and that's obviously that's things that we obviously don't, neither of us ever really do. So just for the people who, Moore's logo is really enjoying your cleavage. I like just reading these.
Just sit there and read the comments. Yeah,
I love it. I'll do that instead. But like, there's never something that's not worthy of you to try. There's nothing worthy of you to promote. There's never a time for you never to promote kindness. There's never a time for you never to promote like what you're feeling. Like, and I think, and I have issues with that too. Like, I think this is like the first year in a while that I've been actually like truly like myself this year, like to some degree. I think I'm myself in my own personality like all the rest of the time, but I think there was just more authenticity to who I am this year, and into next year when I release a record, which y'all are gonna buy, right? No, but like I think. Yeah, and I mean, there's like, I feel like just like my craft is getting better. I mean, I'm back in New York. Things are looking up. Like, I think there are, as much as the world is like it has like issues right now, and obviously that's a whole other subject for discussion. I think there's so many other good stuff. There is good stuff that is happening in this world. Like, it's not all like just shit, as much as a lot of people like want us to believe, and as much as the newscast is pretty sad.
I mean, honestly, I feel like when it comes to anything, everything that comes our way can be twisted one way or the other, and we have that choice to spin it whatever way we want. When it comes to the election and stuff, you said like, yeah, it's a great time to like sit out. I would say this is the best time to make sure that you are fully functional and getting everyone registered. And
Oh
after
well, that
November 3rd,
I mean that
slow
of
down.
course. I
But like
obviously
when it
like.
comes to like spreading positivity, like I don't think that you can ever be attacked for spreading positivity. I've had people say that I'm fake. I've had people tell me that they think that
They're
I'm
jealous.
using. They've told me that I'm using certain things that are happening on in the world to promote myself, and I'm just like, at the end of the day, I don't have to prove myself to these people. If that's what they believe, that's perfectly fine. I'm the type of person that I try to spin everything as positive as possible. And even when I'm dealing with really, really shitty times, I try to just surround myself with people I know are going to be positive, because it's very easy for me to flip my mindset into a very negative place. And that's a scary path to go down. And honestly, I
100%.
don't feel like anything productive comes from that. I think it's important to have moments where you like really focus on your emotions and everything that you're feeling. I think 2020 is definitely one of those years where we're all kind of sitting at home and really analyzing our thoughts, maybe a little bit too much. But I think that as much as it is good to focus on your emotions and allow yourself to have them, you also, it is your ability to say, here's my emotions, I'm going to view it in a very negative way, or here's my emotions, I'm going to view it in a very positive way. And I think too many people, like right before this, I had someone send me a message and attacked me for the way that I view the world. And I just, when it comes to stuff like that, it's their opinion. And I've learned that I've got enough people around me that know me a lot more than someone on my Instagram or someone that watches my YouTube videos. And they believe that I'm a good person. And I try to be a good person every day. No one's perfect. But it's all about the way that you spin it. And
Yeah.
like when it comes to the things that everyone is doing right now in this year, like we have to make sure that we're doing whatever we can to spin things in the best positive light. Like when it comes to the election, speak really highly of the candidate that you are voting for and don't trash the other one, because at the end of the day, that's negative. And
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it was a great point that like Kamala Harris said last night. I mean, I don't usually try to watch the debates. I think after I sent in my absentee ballot like 2.5 weeks ago, I kind of was like, I like, I can't. I still like endorse and I still support and I still will repost and share and keep awareness of like what each of these campaigns are doing. But I think she made a good point last night saying like, I think no matter what, I think the choice of president, they have to govern everyone. It's not just, and again, a whole other subject for discussion. Because obviously, like I feel like in the current state, like I feel like there's so many groups of people that are so antagonized and so not antagonized, but like just like so underrepresented, so manipulated, and there's just needless amounts of violence, and there's needless amounts of these, and all this negativity. I don't know where I'm going with this, because I think, I think it's just this.
I mean, I think we are in a country right now where everyone believes that they are right.
Yeah.
They don't really care about
And that was like
communicating
another thing.
anything deeper than you're a Republican, I'm a Democrat. That's a very shallow, because I vote blue because I am part of the LGBT community, and I also have a lot of underlying values that make me more of a Democrat than I am Republican. I grew up in a very Republican place. I grew up with my entire family voting Republican.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of my coworkers and my friends around here are also red when it comes to me being blue. And we remain friends because we've communicated past red or blue. We've communicated past Biden or Trump. We've communicated to the level of like, what are your values?
Yeah.
And I can't hate somebody or attack someone who has explained to me why they have the values that they do. We can talk and try to persuade each other back and forth. But at the end of the day, I think the hateful messages that are going out are not doing any good. I don't feel like it's going to convert anyone. I think it's dividing our nation more than it's ever been.
100%. I just want to make sure that we get to this question because Alex Gittins 18 says, do you think always putting all positive on profiles will cover your dark moments, which you should reach out to people of?
I mean, when it comes to positivity, I'm a firm believer in social media really isn't the best place to put negative thoughts and negative emotions. And like when it comes to depression and suicide and all of those types of things, I think that those things you need to reach out to people. I don't think it needs to be a Facebook post or an Instagram post. If you don't have people to reach out to, I would say that go for it. Social media is better than nothing. But
I mean, but I do have to say that, like, but I will say that, like, I think there has been media that has put suicide and mental depression, mental depression and a lot of other different, a lot of different other issues that are surrounding the mental health community. And I think I think media like 13 Reasons Why did it really well in the sense of like, they wanted to show you what it's like essentially. Or, I mean, obviously it's in a very over dramatized way, but like, there's still like, and I think they got such flack for it, but I didn't understand what I think, obviously, like the actual suicide scene was shot and shown. And now there's like a disclaimer every single time where it's like, you know, you reach out to 13 Reasons Why. And I think, you know, yeah, like, is it awful to watch see that kind of happen? Yeah. But like, I think it honestly, like, it brought it back into the forefront. It brought it back to a point where we're having a conversation about it again.
Yeah. I mean, there's a positive way to talk about your depression and mental illness. Yeah. I say social media is not the best place to post your most raw emotions in that sense, because you're going to get people who don't know who you are. They don't know your situation, and they're going to say something like, man up. Or they're going to say something like, well, then go kill yourself. And that really can just knock someone off. To where if you reach out to, like, I reach out to my really close friends, because this year really threw me for a loop. And I got to the point where, like, a lot of my friends live really far away from me. And I just said, hey, I am in an extremely dark place right now. And I really, 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 really need you to be a good friend right now. Can we have a FaceTime? Can I drive up to DC? And I didn't post it on social media because there are trolls out there that will make you feel worse than you already are. And honestly, when it came to like my friends, a lot of times they see all my positive posts and they're like, oh, you're fine. But a lot of times there's a lot deeper stuff going on. And I just don't feel like social media is the best place to post your raw emotions. I think that it should be a place that we all post awareness. We should always say, hey, I'm here for you. I love seeing the shares of the suicide hotlines. I love seeing people on their YouTube channels talking about their own depression so that people don't feel alone. Because I think that's why a lot of mental health is such a problem, is because we deal with it alone and we feel like we're the only ones dealing with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think at an early age, I feel like we're taught to keep it in a very introverted way. And I think what I have learned through many years of therapy and many years of, you know, dealing with mental health issues. I mean, I have ADHD, like which kind of, you know, it's not a straight line. It's not, you know, it comes and goes. It gets me like feeling high. It gets me feeling lethargic, you know. And I think there are, and my brain, I'm really bad at focusing. Like, I'll just jump from topic to topic without like any filter in my brain. But, you know, I think anything that I have learned is that, you know, reaching out is definitely the best part. So I think reaching out not just to professionals, always reach out to professionals. They're trained to do this, so you should reach out to them. And sometimes it's free, you know, depending on where you go. But, you know, I think I think some of my friends are the reason why I like made it through quarantine sometimes. Like we had weekly Zoom sessions, like with my running club every Wednesday night. You know, I had happy hours with my friends from high school. I had, what else did I have? You know, my buddy Carl, who I'm getting tacos with later. He, I'm so excited. I love tacos amongst anything. But you know, I was like, hey, like if I was feeling down, like, hey, can we talk? And you know, a lot of times, like him and the rest of my friends are usually very receptive towards it, and I'm usually one who like feels things very deeply. So I will like, you know, I'm not one to hide, and it's totally fine. Like, I think everyone has the right to be emotional. I think everyone has the right to feel their emotions. Yeah. And I think but I do think it is from an early onset, we're taught to smile through it all, you know, smile and, not to misquote Maya Rudolph, but smile through it all in our boxy ass dresses. And like, you think about, like, man up. I think when you were like, oh, man up, like that was like what I was taught, like what was said to me when I was a kid, throughout, like, by gym teachers, or you know, I never played football, but like, you know, sports coaches, you know. And I think it was a hard thing for me, I think, growing up, because all I wanted to do was like tell everything, you know. And I feel like now I'm like writing this record, and this record is kind of like a really interesting thing for me, because it is about the human mind and the human emotion and the different interpretations that it brings. And, you know, it kind of is like taking off the mask and kind of just like going like this. And, yeah, I think there's portions, there's portions of this record that are actually like that have come from like my own being, and like having to like put it out into words. And even like shifting from like anxiety to jealousy to sadness to heartbreak to love to empowerment, you know, to longing, you know, all of these different things that we feel as humans every single day. And I think there is it's just you know, it's a spectrum that you ride, and it's also a spectrum that you have to, like, whatever the moment is that you're putting in. Do you think that writing music is an important tool? Yes. Bruno, I think that it is. Thank you for asking that question. You know, I think for me, like, I think I'm a better singer than I am a better singer. I think it's just like, you know, I think music for me is like the only extension of where I'm like completely myself. And I think it'll be interesting to see the reaction I get from this record. It'll be interesting to see from people who do know me. Like, and a lot of people have already heard a lot of these songs from like where I grew up. Like, a lot of my friends have like seen these songs develop and grow. But like, it'll be interesting to see from like beginning to end where this like journey is. Because I think what I hope is that people learn the lesson that no matter what emotion that you're put into, whatever emotion you're feeling, like, you are right. You're okay. Like, it's okay to feel this way. It's okay to be sad. It's, you know, sometimes it's okay to be mad. You know, I think it was, I think there's a whole point where obviously, like, you don't want to be sad forever, but, you know, it's fine to sit in your emotions, and it's fine to express them whichever way you can, whichever way helps, and if not for you, for somebody else. Yeah, all right, that's the end of my TED Talk.
Yeah, so I mean, when it comes to the type of stuff that I share on social media, like, I make sure that it's something that I have healed from before I share it with the world, because I definitely believe that men sharing their emotions, men sharing their mental health, men sharing that they have feelings, I think that that's important because, like you were saying, like guys have always been told, man up, keep it in, just go out there and do what you do. But like you being a creative, me being more of a creative, I know that for me personally, I'm an emotional thinker. I make most of my decisions based upon emotions. That's why I feel like when it comes to me voting for Biden, I feel like for me, I think about everyone's emotions when it comes to not being treated equally. I think of everyone's emotions when someone's saying that you're lesser than someone else. So for me, emotions come really easy. But there are definitely people out there where society tells them men aren't supposed to have emotions. I was just in a conversation with my friend Promise yesterday where she was told she needs to be a lady and not express her opinions. And I think those are like such old mindsets that we're slowly moving and progressing away from. Like women have the right to express their opinions and differences, and men need to be more tuned into their emotions and being aware that they can share it and not be judged for it. Mm-hmm. But that requires a lot of mindset change. That requires a lot of people to stop saying that you're a feminine guy if you share your emotions. Stop telling women that they're loud if they argue a point.
I'm sorry, whoever says that now, like, I'm sorry, it's 2020. Like, we can, like, I want there to be, like, a time where we don't really have to talk about that anymore. We don't have to talk about these stigmas, and we don't have to talk about these predetermined ways that we're supposed to think and feel and act and do whatever, I just, obviously, like, I think it's a point that we do have to talk about. Like, it's so funny, because I did my coding boot camp, and, it was funny, like, I looked around my class, and, like, there were, in the tech industry is, like, a hugely male, it was originally, like, a white male-dominated field, but then I also was just, like, but I was amazed by the fact that, like, there were a lot of women, there were a lot of women of color in in the group I was in this program, and I was like, damn, like, hell yes. Like, I think I hope for a time where both genders can just break through all genders can just break through the norm of what it really means, I think, I remember, like, my mom was getting an award at an event, and our family friend came. I was like, oh my God, I might cry, because, like, my mom is being honored right now. And he said to me, oh, don't cry. I was like, if I want to, if I'm happy, like, let me do it. You can, happy cry is a good cry. I feel like I'm, like, if I'm not between, like, a 2 and an 8 on the emotional scale, I'm crying. Crying if I'm too happy, I'm crying if I'm too sad. What is your favorite song to help you get through? Fashionality says. I have mine, but if you want, do you have a song that gets you through?
Yeah, I've got a lot of songs depending on what I'm dealing with, but one that I've listened to recently was Whitney Houston's song from her album before she passed away.
Oh, wow.
I Didn't Know My Own Strength.
I didn't know my own strength.
I feel like that's great because, like, you can feel it. Like, I get chill bumps just thinking about the song, but, like, it says you crash down and you tumble, but you didn't crumble. And I've definitely crashed down, and I have, like, when life gets hard, it sucks. And
yeah,
it's songs like that just kind of remind me, like, hey, like, you don't know how strong you are until life throws something at you and you have to stand back up. And I think that song really kind of, like, inspires me on a regular basis. It's definitely my go-to song when I'm feeling down.
100%. Then you're going to love my new song, because that's what it's all about.
Perfect.
Hey! No, but I think, I have so many that I do. God, I think I should make it, like, an entire playlist on my Spotify just for, like,
I actually have a YouTube video where I talk about, like, all my breakup songs that I use to get over a breakup. And, like, first it's, like, the pain, and then it's, like, the healing, and then it's the get back out there songs. I've got, like, a whole playlist for it.
Yeah. Bruno says, do you think that the American culture is repressive against feelings. I've never heard not to cry. Um,
I would say ours is probably a lot better off than a lot of other countries. A
oh,
lot
I
of
mean,
people I've talked
100%.
to.
I think, I mean, obviously, like, there are places where you will go to jail if you are gay. Like, you will go, you can't, if you are even perceived as anything less than masculine as a man, like, you get punished legally. So I think, obviously, I think I think, well, I was born in the 90s. So, I mean, like, I think there was definitely a sense of that. But it obviously, like, I don't think it affected me as much because I grew up in a liberal family. I grew up in a liberal kind of well, not, nah, somewhat of a moderate area of New Jersey where like it was kind of fine. I did theater, like, and everyone was like totally fine with that. I mean, middle school sucked, but middle school always sucks.
I feel
And then
like if
I
you
found
look at
my
like,
niche in high school. Like, I was able to find my path. Like once I made it through high school and I found like my core besties, like, you know,
I feel
so
like if you look at like the cartoons that are created for girls and the cartoons that are created for guys, you can see an extreme difference in the way that they are like sculpting a mind of a boy versus the girl. Like if you watch like My Little Ponies, they're sitting there talking about like feelings and loving each
do,
other.
do you
And
want to hear
then
a funny story about My Little Pony? I will say, I'm sorry, I have. So I pledged a fraternity in my freshman year of college, and and in my fraternity, you had to meet every single brother of the fraternity and like get to know them in like an interview kind of setting. And my interview with one of the bros was we sat in his room and watched My Little Pony, the first episode.
so
Like
he was a brony.
he was like, it was just that episode, and I had no idea why. Like we watched it, but we did, and that's like essentially that's what he makes you do. Like okay, so anyway, but yeah, I completely understand that too. Like I think what else? Like Ed and Eddie was no, that was just silly. Um, what was a boy
Well,
cartoon
if you
show?
look at like the way that Disney is changing their characters, you'll notice that you've got Elsa, you've got Moana, you've got women that don't need men anymore, which I think is an
Yes.
amazing thing. I would love to see more LGBT and people of color represented across Disney's platforms, but I definitely think that Disney changed their stance on princesses don't need to be saved by Prince Charming anymore.
Oh
So
yeah.
they're definitely
I mean,
breaking that stereotype.
I will say that Mulan was the first movie where she did not need a man. Like there's a meme that I love that it was like she left her world for him. She's like waited to be woken up by him, and it's Mulan. It's like saved China. So, and I was like, yeah, because she did.
And it's crazy because like she wasn't ever really that popular compared to the other ones. Like you don't see like when they have like the little Disney shirts with princesses on them. Like Mulan is usually the one princess that's left out because Tiana
Really?
came out later than Mulan, and she's actually on a lot of shirts because I went. Those are things that I pick up on when I go to places because I'm like, okay, there needs to be role models for everyone. And a lot of times Mulan is a princess that's left off because people have argued that she's not a real princess. But I would say that she's a strong female character that needs to be represented. And I think that it's crazy that she probably had the best message for women at that time, and she still did the
I mean,
popularity.
if you really want to think about it, like I think someone was saying this to me, but like Reflection, the song Reflection was probably like the biggest
Oh my gosh.
like transgender like
I
that
think
at
that's
that
like,
time. Like I felt like a lot of transgender people were already relating to that song so
I think
much.
transgender and like people like gay, lesbian, bi, like I think that that's something that we all kind of go through with the like why like because we all put on that mask to I'm seeing it less and less now. I think a lot of people in younger generations are becoming more accepting, and I'm seeing people come out in middle school. People are coming out in elementary school, and I love that. But I definitely felt like in high school that, like, when that song came out, I definitely felt it.
Yeah.
I did feel like they loved the version of me I was presenting to the world and not who I really was. And I've talked about this in other lives where when you do finally get to that point where you are your most authentic self and you share that with the world and someone says, I love you for that, that feeling is the most intense feeling you've ever had. Because before, when people say, I love you, and you knew that you were being fake and you weren't real and they didn't know the real you, it was hard for you to believe that that person loved you. But when you're like, hey, this is me, all my fault, like all my flaws, everything about me, here it is, and someone says, I still love you, that's like a groundbreaking moment and an amazing emotion to have versus, here's the version of me that I think you want to see. Oh, I love you. Thank you.
Yeah, I think, I mean, yes. I think you were right on the money with that one, that I don't really even need to like make another comment about that. I mean, yeah, I mean, I think it's a really lovely time. I think that's, and I think, I mean, even musically, even when I think about like art itself also, I think when you're authentic with yourself and with others, then I think you have more of a freedom. There's more of a freedom that comes with it, especially in expressing yourself. And,
I think that's the scariest thing too about writing your own music. If you're really putting your true emotions into it, like
100%. Like there are
acceptance
songs like,
of that song, like
yeah,
it really means something. You want people to like it because you've given a piece of yourself in your music.
like there are songs like written about specific people, and like I remember I've had to like talk, like go and like contact them and be like, hey, is it okay if like I release this because it's about you, or like you inspired it, like, and like I get them to listen to it, and they have all given me their blessing. Like I haven't had anyone say no. If they had said no, I probably would have had to like not do it, because if it was like too personal of a topic, but I don't think it's ever really gotten to there. I think it's more so of like, I'm emotional. I wrote this about you. let me sing my heart out to people. But I think there's some songs I think I wish I would have. There's some, I think there's some songs I think I wish when I was writing them, I probably should have like not had them centered around a certain, because I think when you are I think when I do perform a lot, I think performing for me is kind of like whatever song I decide to choose. I usually pick, I mean, whether if it's an original of mine or if it's a cover, or, I usually obviously internalize it. And when I perform it, it's kind of like putting a projector like right in between me and the audience whenever I was doing live music. And it was kind of like just playing back like the specific moment or the specific person you remember. And it like there was one point where I was like, I think I remember setting like, I think it was like during, I have a single out called 4 Hours, and and I think I was at the release show, and I was like, and at one point I was just like, I really don't like singing this song anymore. Like, it's just because I keep remembering this the one figure that inspired it in the first place. And it's funny because I'm now re-recording the song for my record, and it was just like, and I have, obviously time has passed, and so like they're not a prominent figure in my life anymore, but like still it's like I will always still have that piece of your heart that gets put into it. I think Jake, can we have a sing demo? A sing demo. I don't know what you mean by a sing
I think they want you to give them a demonstration of your singing abilities.
Okay. I mean, no, if it's I maybe like towards the end. We got like 5. How long do we usually do these things for?
I mean, I usually go an hour unless the discussion gets juicy and continues past. So.
It's juicy. Oh, okay. All right, we're going down that road now.
Maybe we'll just give you an hour of singing after this too.
No. I am not ready for that. And plus, my dog will also start barking if I start singing. It's actually, my dog loves to howl to my voice.
He's duetting with you.
Essentially, he hasn't found the key yet. Isn't that right, Toby? Come on.
Maybe he's tone deaf. We don't judge.
He is, but he's a cutie. Look at him. Look at the puppy. He also just went to the groomer, so he's like he was completely. What about criticism? Don't you guys think that this is something we have to try to keep it down? I think criticism is honestly, for me as an artist, I think criticism is needed. You know, I definitely, there's only so many things that you can hear, or for me as a musician, I want to call you Ben because your name is Ben, but you're called Drummond. I know Drummond is what you go by, so whatever. I think Ben can say something else to this, but like, I think for me, like, I definitely, I think when I work on my music, I definitely try to have someone else in the room with me because, you kind of need somebody, and we can actually even take this out to music as well. But if you want to do something and make a statement, you have like that one friend that's like, nah, girl, don't do it. I wouldn't do it. Or be like, this isn't it. Like, I think you could do better. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think, and I have like a bunch of friends, like as much as you want to like have friends that say yes and like support you and endorse you, you also need people that say no or say not yet, or
like tons of people that go on to American Idol that should have had family members that said, don't do that.
I mean, but they think but honestly, like I remember Simon Cowell, like in an interview saying they only put people on who think that they're good. Like they don't who think that they're like genuinely good. I think, yes, take criticism with a grain of salt. That is a great line. I think it's definitely to a point where there's a poem that was written by what's her name? It's gonna kill me because there's many songs written using her poems. Jane Tyson Clement. It's called Response to Criticism, and it's like and I think one of the lines is in Leave Me to Some Experiment, where it's like, and where the whole point of it is like, you're trying, whatever the art is, you're trying to, yes, like there's a point to criticism, but there's also room if it goes too far where it's like, no, like this is, I've had people tell me all the time, they're like, this isn't really poppy, but like, do you think that you could like just like tone down the chords, or like, could you just like, I don't know. I was like, why is there a half step in there? Like, why is the song like so long? And I'm just like, you know what? Like, this is how long it took for me to make this story. This is how long it takes me to tell the story, and this is how long the song is. You know what? Sue me. Like, you know what?
Yeah,
at least listen to it for 30 seconds so I can make $0.0037 of a dollar every time you stream it on Spotify. Thanks, Spotify, for that. And I think, shout out. But like, I think, I can't. I think there are certain points of criticism where there are points of criticism that are necessary, and there are definitely some points of criticism that are just mean.
I think that you have to learn how to deal with criticism and let it just roll off your shoulders and accept the things that can help you change. I've definitely grown as a content creator when it comes to the stuff that I post based upon people's criticism of the things that I've put out. But there's also people out there that seek out criticism to prevent them from going out and doing something. Like there's people who they're scared to death to go perform their music on stage. So they seek out people to criticize them, to tell them not to do it. And I think you've just got to look, and she said constructive criticism, and that I went to college for architecture, and we literally poured our hearts into our designs, and then we had to sit through an hour of them critiquing it. The entire class got to pick it apart, and just because one person says, hey, I don't really like this, like you were saying, the song's too long, or they didn't think that it was poppy enough, that doesn't mean that you have to change it. That just means that that one person didn't like it. You have to realize that critiques are from one perspective, and you can't take it as, oh my gosh, this person said that, everyone hates my music. That's one person, and you have to let it kind of roll off your shoulder. And if they gave you some type of critique that you think that you can use it. If you don't think it is, then just let it roll off your shoulder. I get messages
words
all the
of Jinx,
time.
in the words of Jinx Monsoon, let it roll off like water off a duck's back.
Exactly. There's so many people that
She's
have
my favorite queen.
opinions out
So
there, and they're always telling me how they think I should do things. And honestly, like, I appreciate them wanting me to create content that they can relate to. But at the end of the day, I focus more of my energy on discovering who I am, what the most authentic me is, and that's the content I put out. And at the end of the day, you will find people. The world is full of people. Like, there's people on this that are from all over the world right now. And
that's crazy. Honestly, I've been like seeing like everyone, like someone's from Brazil on here, someone's from Germany, I think, Chicago. Oh, Chicago. Where were you at my last gig? But like, no, I mean, that's like, I think that's definitely a whole point. I think that's definitely like a good point to make. Like, it was funny because like I remember like I was in Europe last year, when I was like just traveling aimlessly, and I was just like, wow, there's so many other people. I was like, what? Like, this is cool. So, you know, I think. I miss traveling so much. I think that's definitely. I'm Jersey. That's where I'm from. Yes, Josie's. Is that? Am I pronouncing it right? I don't know, but Jersey. Yay for the win. You know, I think. Yeah. Sorry, I was like, I was just so excited someone was from Jersey on here.
I just think that like people, like, the social media aspect, the internet has really given us bigger platforms to where we can find people all over the world that like the things that we do. Whereas before, like, being gay in a very rural area in Virginia, like, I was very singled out and I didn't feel like I was part of a community. I felt like I was very alone. But social media has given us the opportunity to, if we are different, if we are weird in whatever passions we have, there are other people out there, whether they're in another country, another state, maybe they're a county over from us. We're able to connect. And a lot of times I've had people share my stuff with friends that they thought would be inspired by my message. So they were like, oh my God, you're very similar to this guy Drummond. And they'd share my page that way. And then people will be like, oh, my friend told me about you. So if you are your authentic self, there's other people out there being their most authentic self. People will connect you in those ways. And I think it's really cool.
Yeah. No, definitely. I mean, yeah. Sorry, I don't. You keep making good points that I just can't, I don't have anything else to say. Like, that's exactly what I agree. You know, I think, and I think that's also the same way of like when I'm like dating, I'm just like, you know, someone's there, you know, someone's there, they're just like, and I'm kind of like being like, where, like holding a picket sign, like strip naked, and like, looking for you. Just kidding. I don't do that. But like, and I think there's just like, there's always somebody that's, while there's somebody that's always going to like try to put you down, there's always going to be people that are going to embrace the uniqueness about whatever you're doing as an artist.
You've got to surround yourself with people that embrace you for that, because that's where you build your confidence and your love for yourself. Because if you surround yourself with people that judge you and make you feel like you're not that good, you're not talented, then you will eventually give up on yourself and you will start to believe that that's the way that you are. There was a Twilight. I don't know if you've ever seen the Twilight Zone. It's a really, really old show.
The remake or the old one?
The old ones.
So probably no.
There's an episode where like this girl is in like a mask the entire episode, and they're talking to her about how they tried to fix her face because she was just so ugly. And when they took off her mask after about 30 minutes of us sitting there wondering how ugly she was, she looked like us. She like was a human. And she looked in the mirror and I was like, oh my God, she's healed. And she's like, I'm still ugly. And then it zooms around to like the doctors, the nurses, and everybody else. And they're like really distorted, crazy looking faces. And if you're surrounded by people that look that way and you look different is always considered like bad.
Yeah.
And in my eyes, like, I feel like a lot of the YouTubers that are really popular were the different kids. A lot of the actors that have become successful were the different kids in their community. And I think what makes us different is what makes us unique and what makes us followable to where people want to see what we're doing with our lives. Whereas the people that fit in and the people who fell into the status quo, those are the people that are just kind of living a blah life.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to not let yourself be convinced that you need to live a blah life. Like, you should be showing your craziness. You should be showing what makes you unique, because the world is looking for that. Unique rises to the top.
Yeah. I think, you know, I mean, no, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think there is a form of that. I mean, obviously, like, look at the Hemsworths is like, obviously they're just pretty, but like, I mean, duh. You know, I'm just kidding, but like, you know, they're talented in their own right. I don't know why I brought that up. That was weird. But like, yeah, I mean, I think of a lot of people I look up to. I mean, I think of Bjork a lot of the time, because like not everyone like really knew like what she was about, and then she like, and she still like nothing. She didn't like change her music. Like, she's just doing the same thing she does, and I think her art is brilliant. Just because it's not what you hear, it's just something you just don't hear all the time. And I mean, I think Bjork's her post album in '95 was really inspirational to my music in general, because she just came up with all these different sounds. She came up with all these textures. She used all these instrumentations that like are not naturally used for pop music, and she just like was like, yeah, I want to use it like a quarter tone off pitch drum. I want to use a harp for this one. And like, then she also like used like all this synth, and it's just brilliant. She's like honestly, like, she goes to DJ shows sometimes, and like, it's like sometimes people call it like the best show ever, and like they will never know it's her, because she disguises herself, because like no one really cares, or like, you know, yeah, I mean, I don't know why I talked about the Vegas part of that, but it's really cool. Like, I would want that life where like to just disguise myself as like a DJ and just like have no one know it was me, like Dead Mouse.
Yeah.
I will say I do give them flack, because if I want a fucking Grammy, like I would take it off. You know, accept your Grammy. Don't have like Pharrell Williams accept it for you. You know, you won Record of the Year. You accept that Grammy. But you know, I think they did unmask themselves now. I think that was a couple years ago. I think at the time when like Get Lucky was like the hit song, I think that was when they were wearing the space outfits.
I feel like the like essence of mystery is definitely something that keeps people enticed, to where they're going to constantly be listening to your music and constantly looking at your post in hopes that one day you're going to share your face. I definitely think that has an appeal. I've told a lot of people, once you give like everything to the world, like, people will be like, okay, we're done with you, next. But if you keep something a mystery, if you keep something that you don't share with the world, I think that people will constantly be trying to find that out. Like, there's people who don't share their middle name, and people are constantly forever trying to find it. There's people that like don't share.
Well, yeah, you don't even share your first name, like on your.
Well,
like,
you shared it, so
I did, but like, I think because I don't know why. I think for me, Drummond is just a name that like when I was like, I think there's also like another person on Instagram who has like a weird like a name that isn't necessarily theirs. I'm not going to say the name. I mean, like, his name is like Bradley, and like, or no, it's actually that's middle name. But like, but there's an account, like, you know, but it's just something that like, I generally like to know that. I mean, as friends, obviously, like, but if it's like Jake Benjamin is my middle name. Jacob is my first name. You know, my last name I don't reveal on this Instagram. I did when I first had Instagram, and then I changed it when I first decided to become an artist. So yeah. I'm not going to I'm not going to say my last name.
Like, I hid my name just because social media people found out where I lived and showed up at my house, and so like that's kind of scary. And When I
That's
talked to the
terrifying.
police about it, they said there's nothing illegal about being creepy, that they would have to pose a threat to
Okay,
my
well,
life.
in instances like that, yes, you should conceal your name. I will,
Yeah.
like,
And I
I
mean, for
mean,
me recently, like my Facebook has become my very, very private social media. Like only
yeah,
my really close friends are on my Facebook. I went from having the 5,000 friends on Facebook down to under 500 now
yeah,
because I needed a space that was I could open up to my friends and not be judged by people who don't know me because a lot of people make quick judgments based upon people's posts on social media and they don't know that person. And I was feeling very judged and I felt like I couldn't be open, like we were talking about earlier about being open on social media. I felt like when I was sharing deeper emotions that I was experiencing, like loss of someone, uh, I felt I was getting a lot of very shallow responses and rude responses. And I just kind of deleted all of those people who don't know me on a deeper level. And now I can post like when I was experiencing really, really hard depression back in August, I made a post on my Facebook and I had all my friends reach out to me. I had my friends really step up and
hmm
they were all there for me. And I don't think I would have felt comfortable sharing that on my Facebook if I still had those 5,000 people following me.
yeah. No, I think 100%. I think, I don't know. I mean, I'm not famous yet, so I can't. So maybe if I do approach a time in my life where I get Facebook and everything, I'm gonna be like, I'll deal with it because then I'll maybe make a separate Instagram that's just like private, very private, like like maybe 100 people, and maybe just actually just Milo. I think just me and my dog. That's it. I don't. No, I'm just kidding.
All the emotions around that relationship.
And everyone just needs to know about my dog. He's so tired. I actually have to feed him soon. He looks so hungry. Milo, are you hungry? Do you want
We
food?
are about 15 minutes over, so we can wrap it up.
Yeah, he just jumped at me. He just look at him. Look at this puppy. But no, he has to eat. He's hungry. He's shaking.
He's
Milo,
like,
do you want food? Okay. All right. Well, I enjoyed this. Like, I think there's so many. I think there's so many. Obviously, there's so many things to be vigilant about, and I think there's so many things that obviously people are getting serious about. But I think you provide a platform that is more than that is that always just gives me smiles. I think it puts a light in everyone's faces who, or at least in my face. I don't know about the other 20,000 people who follow you, but like, I think it's really worth it that you're doing this. I will say.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you coming on. You're definitely someone that I've talked to through hard times, and you made it really easy to open up. So I'm all about promoting people that I think are good people and are people that others can look to. And I really look forward to the music that you're going to put out. Hopefully that a
October
lot of people.
23rd, the
There you
call. October 23rd. Save the date on your calendar. Do it. And follow me on Instagram. And also, I'll take $500 from my PayPal. Um,
Oh my God.
so, Alex says we need to do this again. I agree with that. I agree with that statement. But obviously, there's probably a long list of people who have to go next. So, how about next time? I think, honestly, one time we need to both be drinking like wine and just
Oh my God.
just like have like a chalice and then just sit back with like candles and just be like,
We'll have to do that when I'm at like a friend's house or something, and maybe we can do like a challenge where you've got a friend with you, I've got a friend with me, and we can like do some type of challenge with people's comments and stuff. Because I
That's
can't
actually
drink here at my office, and I have no cell phone service at home, so drinking here wouldn't happen. But if I was at a friend's house and I can spend the night, I will totally do it.
it could be like a best friend tag. It could be.
Oh my gosh, that'd be fun.
And then we could just okay, but that's a subject for another night. But I will say, a book I recommend. One book to recommend. I recommend a poetry book called "Yesterday I Was the Moon." What about you? Do you have any book recommendations?
I feel like I recommend a lot of different books. I guess it depends on genre. I don't really read poetry unless it's like my friend's poetry because
Okay.
I like to connect to my friends on that level.
And Oscar, I'm voting for Biden. He just said voting for it. I'm obviously, I already voted, so I don't like, I
Yeah.
voted for Biden. Anyway, so, well, name a book I think is enlighten your viewers.
I would say like one that I've recommended a lot is The Velvet Rage because I think that
Yeah.
when it comes to the LGBT community, I think that there's a lot of um, under the surface things that we need to deal with as a community. I think a lot of the issues that we have when it comes to forming relationships with other gay men, or if you're part of the LGBT in any other form, I think that our childhood, we were very scarred in a lot of different ways. And the Velvet Rage definitely uncovered a lot of things that I didn't realize about myself and really helped me kind of love myself on a deeper level. So that's my go-to book when I recommend stuff for LGBT people.
Yeah. That's good. All right. Well,
Awesome.
thank
Have a good
you.
night.
Good night.
Bye.